Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about, digging into the why behind things. And today, we're tackling something I think a lot of us feel, especially with holidays coming up.
Yeah.
Holiday triggers. Why going home feels like regression. Ever had that? You walk into your family home and bam, suddenly the adult you vanishes. Your confidence, gone. Therapy insights, forgotten. You're like 12 again? Or maybe even younger. If that sounds familiar, seriously, you are not alone. So our mission today is to unpack why this happens, look at the psychology, the triggers, and, crucially, figure out what we can actually do about it. It's common, often unspoken, and definitely needs a closer look.
Absolutely. And it's important to frame this correctly from the start. This isn't just, feeling a bit awkward. It's a really profound psychological response. Your brain is literally reacting to old cues.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you feel this way, you're in very good company. It's a widespread experience during holiday season.
What, it's like a time machine for your psyche or something. So this emotional regression, what exactly is happening there? Is it just feeling nostalgic or is it deeper?
Oh, it's much deeper than nostalgia. Emotional regression is, well, technically, it's a defense mechanism. It's a temporary shift back to an earlier stage of development, usually triggered by stress, anxiety, or these really familiar emotionally loaded environments. Your brain essentially fires up old neural pathways linked to your childhood in that specific place. So you react, you feel like you did back then. It's powerful, almost automatic. It's state-dependent recall, really. Not weakness.
Definitely not weakness.
Oh.
But it feels so weirdly specific, doesn't it? Suddenly you're not, the capable adult you are Monday to Friday. You're the quiet kid again. Or maybe the argumentative teen or the one always compared to a sibling. You just snap back into that old role. I swear, sometimes I think about just doing something totally unexpected to break the pattern. But, well, why do those small comments about your job or relationship status or whatever, why do they hit so hard? It feels like they undo months of progress.
Well, part of it is the amplification effect of the holidays. There's this huge cultural narrative, this myth of family joy. We see these perfect images everywhere, warmth, connections, zero conflict, and that pressure, that expectation, it just intensifies any existing anxieties or tensions. So instead of pure joy, it often cracks open old wounds. The gap between the ideal and the reality can feel huge.
That makes sense. And we should probably look at how culture plays into this, right?
Yeah.
Because the underlying trigger might be similar, but the specific flavor of pressure, that must vary a lot.
Hugely. The cultural lens is critical here. Cultural programming shapes these experiences profoundly. So for instance, in some South Asian families, holidays can mean facing a barrage of questions about marriage, career comparisons, even comments about weight from aunties or uncles. It's not always meant unkindly, but it reinforces very specific expectations.
That sounds intense, just relentless scrutiny.
It can be. Or think about many African households. Hierarchy is often really central. There's a strong expectation of respect, almost obedience towards elders. Questioning them, even as an adult with your own life, can feel like a major no-no. And that dynamic, it automatically pushes you back towards a more childlike position. Latino families often have this incredibly close-knit feel, which is wonderful, but it can also come with very specific pressures. Where's your partner? Or are you going to Mass? These questions tie right into core cultural values. Pressure to conform is real.
Yeah, and it's not just those specific cultural examples, is it? Even in, say, Western families where independence is supposedly valued, there's still that pressure for the appearance of perfection, the matching PJs for the Instagram photo, right? The curated happiness.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of performance anxiety, but it's still there.
Exactly. The packaging might be different, but the underlying psychological experience is often very similar. That feeling of being watched, judged, expected to fit into a role, maybe a role you've actively tried to shed, it resonates across cultures.
Okay, so if we agree it's more than just awkward moments, what is the real cost here? Because honestly, sometimes it feels utterly draining, mentally exhausting.
The toll is significant. It hits on multiple levels. Psychological, emotional, even physical.
Yeah.
Psychologically, you see people getting anxious days, sometimes weeks before they even go home, just anticipating it. Emotionally, there's often this really deep guilt. Guilt about maybe not wanting to go, or guilt for not feeling that perfect holiday cheer everyone else seems to have, like you're somehow failing at family.
Oh, that guilt.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. It's like you're betraying something fundamental just by thinking about skipping.
Precisely. And then physically. People report feeling wiped out afterwards. Stress eating is common, trouble sleeping, headaches. It's your whole system reacting. Your nervous system is responding to what it perceives, based on past experience, as a stressful, potentially threatening environment.
It's like your emotional bandwidth just crashes. You know, you spent all year building it up, managing stress, and then one comment about, I don't know, your career choice or your haircut.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're not just mildly annoyed, you're spiraling back to feeling like that vulnerable younger self. It can feel like all that hard work is just gone.
And that's the crux of why it matters so much. It feels like it undermines all the personal growth, all the effort you've put into therapy, self-care, building resilience. It can feel invalidated in just a few days,
Correct.
which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Which brings up an interesting point, the sort of then versus now view. Thinking about, say, my parents' generation, or even when I was younger, therapy wasn't really a common word. The approach was more like you just go home, you put on a brave face, smile, keep quiet about anything difficult. That was just expected.
Absolutely. The landscape has shifted dramatically. We now have the language. We talk about boundaries, self-care, mental health. These concepts are much more mainstream. We have tools, vocabulary to understand and articulate what's happening internally.
Okay, but here's the tricky part, right? Knowing the words boundaries, self-care, doesn't magically switch off the guilt, especially when cultural programming hammers home family first, often interpreted as family harmony above individual feelings. That creates this huge internal tug of war. Your brain knows one thing, your gut feels another. How do you even start to navigate that?
That is the core challenge. And it's where we see something really interesting, almost revolutionary happening, particularly with millennials and Gen Z. There's a growing trend of actually setting those boundaries, choosing personal peace over performing the expected role. Now, this can feel incredibly difficult, even like a betrayal both to older generations and sometimes to oneself, because that family first script runs deep. But it's a fundamental shift. It's questioning whether family first has to mean my well-being last. Maybe true family first requires protecting your own peace first so you can show up authentically.
Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper into why it hurts so much. It can't just be the comments themselves, can it? It feels bigger than that.
You're right, the comments are just the surface. They're like little triggers that activate much deeper stuff. They represent years, maybe decades, of unspoken rules within the family system, roles you were assigned, maybe implicitly that you never actually agreed to play, and expectations that might have always felt impossible to meet. The holidays just put a giant spotlight on all of that.
It's like holidays become these emotional stage plays. Everyone falls back into their old roles without even thinking. You walk in, and suddenly the script from 10, 20 years ago is running again.
Exactly that. It's an unconscious reenactment. And you, the adult who has grown and changed, find yourself cast again in that old role, the one you've worked so hard to move beyond. And that's why the regression feels so painful. It's a direct confrontation with a past self you've outgrown.
Okay, so awareness is step one, clearly. But nobody wants to stay stuck just being aware of how bad it feels. What are the practical things? What can people actually do to cope better? Maybe even heal a bit.
Right. Awareness needs to lead to action. So some concrete strategies. First, preparation before the visit. This is key. Mentally rehearse. Think about the likely triggers, those questions or comments you dread, and actually plan some short, neutral responses. Not aggressive, just firm, like, I'd rather not discuss my job right now, or that's personal, or even just changing the subject. Having a line ready helps you avoid getting flustered in the moment.
Having a script, yeah, that makes sense. Takes the panic out of it, maybe.
Exactly. Then, during the visit, build in escape hatches. Small ones. Literally step outside for fresh air. Go help in the kitchen, even if help isn't needed. Excuse yourself to the bathroom for 5 minutes of deep breathing. Or text a supportive friend who gets it. These little breaks interrupt the intensity and help you regulate your nervous system.
Okay, mini escapes, I like that. And then, what about afterwards? Because sometimes the worst part is the emotional hangover after you leave.
Yes, the post-visit recovery. Prioritize what you could call an emotional detox. Journaling can be really helpful. Just get the feelings out. Rest. Be gentle with yourself. And crucially, remind yourself. Temporary regression does not cancel out your progress. You haven't gone backwards. This was a specific, high-stress situation. Your growth is still real.
That's a really important reminder. And what about the big one? Giving yourself permission to maybe leave early? Or even, dare I say it, not go at all sometimes. That feels like the nuclear option for many.
It can feel huge, absolutely. But it's a valid strategy. Choosing your peace, choosing your mental health is not selfish. It is fundamental self-preservation. Recognizing that sometimes the healthiest choice for you is to limit exposure or opt out entirely, it might be the most radical act of self-care in this context, especially if the environment is consistently harmful to your well-being. It takes courage, but it honors your journey.
So if anything we've talked about today has resonated, if that feeling of holiday regression sounds familiar, please know, truly, you are not alone. Millions of people grapple with these exact dynamics every year. Maybe take a moment to think about the strategies we discussed. What feels possible for you?
And perhaps a final thought to leave you with. What does genuine peace actually look like for you this holiday season? Not the glossy magazine version, not the Instagram version, not even what your family might define as peace, but your peace. And then consider this. Is prioritizing that internal peace, even if it means deviating from tradition or expectation, perhaps the most profound act of self-care available? Because ultimately, your mental health, your well-being matters far more than any picture-perfect holiday scene or performing an old, outdated role.